Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to another edition of Football Theory. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers, of course, joined by the coach, my favorite coach, Coach Shipley. He's a former high school football coach at Burnet, Capel, Brownwood, Belton, Rotan. Also played college football at Abilene Christian, a coach there in multiple stints, but also was on the staff at University of Texas for multiple head coaches. It is our coach, Bob Shipley. Now you can catch his work at shipleyranches.com. What's up, Coach? How you doing?
Hey, doing good. What's up?
Oh man, doing good, Coach. Obviously, ready for the Longhorns to get back in action after their first loss of the season. The honeymoon is over for the Longhorns. So here in Football Theory, we'll talk about their upcoming opponent, Vanderbilt, but also talk about some of the reasons the Longhorns might have taken their first L this season. Getting off to a slow start, obviously pass protection. Quinn Ewers getting Quinn back into a groove. Yes, Quinn is the starting quarterback. So we'll talk about all of those things and more. But before we do, let me just let you know about our friends over at MyBookie. This episode of Football Theory brought to you by our folks over at MyBookie. Make sure you're in the game with MyBookie. Play any matchup, hundreds of college player props and more. Just go check out mybookie.ag. Just that simple. And then you can actually take advantage of some great opportunities over at MyBookie for you to win big. And we'll give you some more details about that coming up later on. But Coach, a few items I want to talk about heading into the Texas Vanderbilt matchup. And by the way, first time Vandy's ranked in since 2013. I mean, it's been 11 years since Vandy was a ranked team. They are a top 25 team. So I want to get your thoughts, Coach, about how to get the Texas offense off to a faster start. Since they've been starting slow, actually in SEC play, period. Mississippi State was a slow start. Oklahoma was a bit of a slow start. And, of course, the Georgia slow start actually cost the Longhorns a big opportunity in that matchup. Also, I think a fast start is also about getting Quinn in a rhythm and getting him in a groove early. I'm going to talk to you about that. And then the run game. Sark was big concerned, and I think it's a valid point about the run game versus Georgia, only averaging 1.1 yards per carry. So we'll talk about how Texas can boost the run game and add some juice to the running game. And then we'll start looking ahead to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's got a very unconventional offense for the Texas defense. So it's not necessarily the same kind of test you face versus Georgia, where you have elite athletes, in every level of that offense, and the guys who will play on Sundays, a high level quarterback. You got a quarterback who can make some plays, but they're built in, I think, a very unique way. And we'll talk about that with Vanderbilt and how they win. They're 5-2 right now, but they got a very, very unique way that they go about winning games. So we'll talk about that. And they beat Georgia, beat Alabama, who actually beat Georgia. So we can talk about that too, because this is no pushover for the Longhorns. All right, Coach, let's start with the offense, because if there was something that Longhorn fans are going to leave that Texas-Georgia game stressing out about, it will be the offense and how the offense looked. And obviously starting with Quinn Ewers, he's the big topic of conversation. But what are your thoughts? How do you think we should get this Texas offense off to a faster start? And before you dive into it, I'll give a shout to my man CJ Vogel, because he had a tweet earlier today that I think adds some context to this conversation. He said that the opening drives for Texas have actually not been going well for them since the beginning of 2023. He points out that if you include 2023 and, of course, the game so far in 2024, he said that's 21 first possessions of a game, and the Longhorns have 6 touchdowns out of those 21 possessions, 10 punts, 3 interceptions, 1 missed field goal, and 1 turnover on downs. So he points out there that Texas is just 2 of 7 on first drive touchdowns in the 2024 season, to the point about starting slow. So it actually, I think I was going to try to point out maybe it was an SEC thing. Turns out it's not really an SEC thing. Texas has been dealing with these slow starts the last couple of years. You're a coach. What would you try to do to remedy the slow starts for Texas?
Wow, I didn't realize we were that slow. I thought we'd had more success on those first drives throughout the last couple of seasons.
Great stat by CJ.
Yeah, I think welcome to SEC play. You're not going to have anybody sit there and line up in something where you're going to be able to just expose them every play. They're going to mix it up. If you listen to the head coach's press conference for Vandy, he said we have to disrupt their offense. We've got to disrupt everything they do, and I think you need obviously high percentage plays. Now, what what I've done before, and I think it's not a bad idea. I don't, in this situation, I don't know for sure, but anyway, in the huddle, you call two plays. You call a run play and a pass play, and then you go to the line of scrimmage, and if they've got your pass play smothered up in a way that looks like your receivers ain't not going to be able to get off, or maybe there's help over the top, or they're bringing heat or whatever, then you try to pair that pass. In other words, how could they line up that would make this pass play a bad play call? Okay. So when they line up in that, what would be a complementary run to run against that defense that has stopped the pass play that we have called? So that's what I've done in the past. I think that probably is not a bad idea. It takes a lot of research. It takes an awful lot of homework to dig through. This is how they can line up defensively to stop this. And as a result, when they're lined up in that, what are they giving us run wise? There's going to be sometimes you're going to have to throw it, obviously, but when we're talking about trying to get off on the first drive or maybe a first series of a drive or whatever, it's instead of thinking about big plays, instead of thinking about explosive plays, let's think about moving the sticks. Just moving the sticks and just create some continuity on offense, create some flow, kind of get in a rhythm, because Vandy does not have good athletes to line up in a base coverage and in a base front every snap with us. They don't. So they're going to disrupt us in ways we may not have seen. Maybe we have seen. It won't be just like Georgia, because they don't have the athletes that Georgia had to back up some of the schemes that they were doing defensively. But I think you've got to get yourself in a situation where you have the best chance to have success on first down. And that, you just get that first down, get one first down, give you a little confidence, get everybody settled in, and then see what the defense is going to be in, charting every defense against every down and distance, against every formation in the press box while the game's going on. So you'll have an idea, try to get them pegged on maybe what their game plan is as early as possible.
Coach, I love that idea. So I think on defense, we used to call it they have kill options.
Right.
Either come to the line, see, act like he's gonna, get into his cadence, see what the defense lines up in, and either go with that play or kill that first play, go with the other play. I love that idea. Do you trust the quarterback to kill it or that first play option, or do you look to the sideline to kill the play option? Are you coaches doing it, or is a quarterback gonna do it?
Well, you can do it either way. Hopefully your quarterback can do it. And we would just use different stuff like, if in an audible, he used the color green and that's grass, we're going to run it. If he uses a blue or anything that starts, like has to do with the sky, then we're going to throw it. You could use any kind of R play for a run, any kind of P, and you just have fun, and you just make up these fake names so that everybody knows. It's like when we would go on 2, the lineman had a little snap count and they would go nut. Well, I go, why are y'all doing that? Well, coach, how many nuts you got? That's how we know. That's how we know it's on 2, And so it's crazy. I'm not going to tell you what they did when it was on 1, but anyway, those linemen, let them make up their own calls, man. They're hilarious, and they can do it in a way, that. So let the team have a little fun with it, So it's got to be off target enough where nobody can pick it up, but you're not going to do it. Obviously, there's going to be sometimes you're not going to have 2 plays called, and then whatever the quarterback says is a dummy call, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, I actually love that. I mean, I'm sure for Sark, that's something that either he's done before or thought about, but I love that idea, Coach, because then the defense is wrong no matter what. They're always lined up wrong. They're always at a disadvantage when it comes to that option. Love that. When it comes to getting Quinn in the group, I heard you say something earlier about high percentage throws. I was looking at one of Sark's coaching clinics, and I think this is kind of going to be key to getting Quinn in a groove early and getting him in a rhythm early. Sark has what he calls opportunity throws. It's a term I only heard Sark use. I'm sure the coaches have used it too. He calls them opportunity throws. And he said, it's the exact quote from Sark. I wrote it down so I get it right. He said, in my opinion, RPOs are opportunity throws, and they give quarterbacks opportunities for a free completion, an advantageous throw. So he's saying RPOs are a type of opportunity throw, but essentially I think he's just stating that opportunity throws are just easy completions for quarterbacks, however you can work those out. And I think that's what you want for Quinn to get him in a groove and get him in a rhythm early. how many opportunity throws. Now, he includes RPOs in those, but screens have got to be considered opportunity throws. That's an opportunity for a free or easy completion, as Sark calls it. The flare routes to the running back. And we think about what Jaden Blue did last game. It was at 7 receptions he had in the game. Yeah. Most of those, unless they're unless they're you start talking about the wheel routes down the field, those are a little bit tougher. Maybe that Texas route ain't an easy route to complete either. Those are a little bit tougher. But most of the flare routes and the swing screens to running backs, those are easy. Check down completions pretty much. And play action pass is supposed to be considered, an easier throw for the quarterback. Usually that means you got a wider window to throw to if you can suck those safeties and those second level defenders down into the box to bite on the run. And I always talk about targets to motion. I'm big on that, coach. Players who were in motion prior to the snap or at the time of the snap. As a matter of fact, in that game versus Georgia, you had 4 targets to motion in the second half, 0 in the first half. Your first touchdown of the game was a target to motion, and you were 4-4 on targets to motion in the second half, including 2 on your first drive. 1 was your first explosive pass play of the game. Your first explosive pass play of the game. And your first touchdown of the game via Isaiah Bunn came on targets to motion. So to me, those are schemed open, wide window throws that Sark usually has basically schemed up to be opportunity throws for his quarterback. That's what you need for Quinn. I really don't want him early on taking full field or half field progression reads. I think we got to make it simple on him, scheme it open for him, get him some scheme open guys in space, yak opportunities and opportunity throws. That's kind of what my ideal is early on for Quinn. But I will admit, Coach, if you're a Clark Lee on the other side, you're the defensive coordinator, do you start challenging Texas to throw over your head a little bit? Because they haven't done it in the last 2 weeks. And it doesn't seem like Quinn has been able to put enough oomph on those deep balls. They've been underthrown lately, actually. Yeah. Underthrown deep balls. And I wonder if Vanderbilt may challenge Texas to see if they can actually complete it now with the rumors and some people that may suspect that Quinn's limitations maybe still something that lingering from the injury.
Yeah, I really think that's true. I think there are some things lingering. But for Quinn to be able to hit the deep ball and have any consistency in his passing game, he's going to have to go back to his base mechanics. He needs to go back. He's dropping the ball. His footwork's not good. He's throwing it off balance. I mean, just fundamental things that he was so good at before. And when you kind of get in what I call survival mode, and that is you're just trying to make a play, you're just trying to avoid a sack, you're just trying to do this or that. Sometimes that stuff goes out the window, and you just throw on instinct or whatever. But I wonder, did you happen to break down the Georgia game in terms of how much man coverage they were running?
I did not. I probably can look that up and find out.
Yeah, I think, RPOs obviously are not going to be as effective against man coverage because, you're on RPO, you're trying to get your guy in an open zone. And the reason that zone area is open is because a linebacker, the safety, has come up to stop the run. So I didn't see a lot of RPOs last week. I did see Georgia in what I thought was quite a bit of man. And, throws that were simple before, like maybe just that stop route or whatever, all of a sudden they're jumping it, and Quinn's not seeing that safety or outside linebacker rolling out there to help that corner. And, what looks like a simple throw is an interception or a dropped interception. That's a high percentage, just quick pass he's been making all year. But Georgia said, no, we ain't even going to let you have that. So I think you just have to feel them out a little bit. Start slow. I always like starting fast, but obviously this conference is full of great coaches. The coach at Vandy is one of them, he and his staff. It's remarkable what they've done.
It is.
I think, we just got to be slow, be patient, but we have to move the sticks because Vandy's an offense that's not going to give you the ball a lot. They're going to try to keep your offense off the field with their offense. And so we have to take advantage of it. So don't worry about explosive plays. Just worry about moving the sticks, just getting first down, moving the sticks. Then you get in the red zone. Now you do your thing. But, we don't need to try to score too quick. We just need to make sure that we get points off of every drive possible. And to do that, we're going to have to run the ball. I mean, unless Vandy just throws a defense at us that invites us to throw it over their head or whatever, we have to throw the ball, and Jaden Blue needs more touches. There, I said it.
Yeah. More rushes, right? Because he's got targets.
No, I'm talking about handoffs.
Go to get. Yeah, I agree with the coach, and I'll say Sark said it was not in the game plan to have for Jaden Blue to have 0 rush attempts and handoffs. He said they pretty much threw out the game plan when Georgia jumped down their throat, and he started, kind of improvising as a coach, just trying to figure out a way to get back into the game. Let's start there a little bit before we move on to the defense, coach. The running game. Now you guys some good ideas about how to kind of get Texas off to a better start, how to get Quinn in a groove, get them more comfortable early on, get them more confident early on. The running game, though, what are your ideas about boosting the running game? One thing I did see in the Georgia matchup was Texas. They seemed like they had more success running out of 12 personnel. When I went and looked at all of your longest runs by a running back, and you didn't have many, by the way, because Georgia held you to 1.1 yards per rush, but you did have a 10-yard run by the running backs, an 8-yard run by the running backs. They all came out of 12 personnel. You had that, I believe that you had a 7-yard run by Wingo, I believe, at one point. That was also a 12 personnel. That was on like a 4th and 1. Beautiful call, though, by Sark on that ending around. By the way, that's another way to boost the running game, coach. Your handoffs to wide receivers on ending arounds, they've been pretty damn good. You've had one that didn't gain positive yardage. The rest of them have been gains of 7 yards for a first down. That was versus Georgia. But 55, 25, 26, 25. Then there was Silas Bowden, who had a negative 8-yard gain. So wide receivers in the running game, not a bad idea. But I saw 12 personnel, maybe something Sark's leaning into a little bit more. And it may be for pass protection issues. Maybe it's to give you a little boost or juice in the running game. But it's clear 12 personnel is something, even when he was trying to get back into the game, usually Sark, when he's trying to, either on 3rd and long, 3rd and medium, or when he's trying to score a lot of points quickly, he's trying to blitz an opponent with speed, he's 11 personnel all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. But he's been leaning more toward 12 personnel, and I think it's because he wants a boost in the run game, coach. And that's exactly what it provided versus Georgia. You got a little bit of boost in the run game. Your most explosive plays actually came out of 12 personnel versus Georgia, not 11.
Yeah, I like 12 personnel against them. I like 21 personnel against them. I think that helps with pass protection, as well. But I think when it comes down to it, getting into some type of heavy package, maybe even 6 offensive line package, there's no way Vanderbilt is going to stuff us running right at them. We ought to be able to run the ball right down their throat. I just don't think they have the defensive personnel. They're quick. They have some quickness. They do some things to disrupt you. But play in and play out, if we just decided to just it's 4th down, it's 4th quarter, we got a 7-point lead. We're not going to put the ball in the air. We're going to just run it. We're going to run it. They know we're going to run it. We know we're going to run it. And I just don't think they can. I just don't think they can stop it. I just don't think we need to get too cute. We don't have to play finesse football in this game. We can play smash mouth football and then take what they give us in the passing game, because they would have to make some adjustments to stop the run. And so when that happens, it opens up some stuff in the passing game. Certainly you don't want to be one-dimensional, but you have to establish your power. You have to establish your running game, I think, which we haven't done lately, to make everything run the way this offense has been formulated together. It only works if you're able to run the football. And Sark likes to run the football.
Yeah, he does.
But sometimes we get a little too cute, and we'll throw 5 or 6 passes in a row to start a game, and I'm like, I know, I guess you're trying to loosen them up or whatever, and that's fine. I can't argue with him, because what he's done has been successful up until last week. But, if you've got to change your personnel to run right at him, then let's do it. Throw some play action off of it. I think that would be an effective way to start the game and to get our running game going.
Yeah, Coach, I am curious at this point, because I have, predicted multiple times and been wrong multiple times. They would break out the 6 O-line package, the Big 11, Big 12. I'm curious. Do you think there's a reason we haven't seen it? Because we haven't seen it at all, really. We haven't seen it at all.
We need to see it back, especially against a team like Vandy. They're not going to have the top defensive front in the country. They're just not. They're good. They're good in a lot of areas. They're much improved from the last couple of years. Yeah. But I just don't know how, unless they just stack the box, which is going to open up the passing game. I don't see how they can stop our running game if we'll run right at them. Don't let them string you out all the way to the sidelines and all that stuff. Run right at them. Let your backs find a crease and take it to the house.
Yeah, Coach, and that's something else. I mean, because I know coaches troubleshoot about what concepts are going to work. You never really know, I mean, what's going to work against a certain defense until, you actually execute it on the field. But I was curious, Texas against Oklahoma, it seemed like that split wide zone. They figured it out in the second quarter, and it hit. It was that big 36-yarder was that split wide zone, that 43-yarder by Trey Wise was that split wide zone. They had another 10-yarder. Basically, their three longest runs by running backs in that game were all the same play concept, the split wide zone. And yeah, we didn't see it until in the Georgia game until third quarter. I was talking to Alex Okafor about this. Do you think it's just because Georgia was whipping Texas pretty much and they got down so badly that they had to throw the football, and that's why we didn't see it until the third quarter? Or was it because Sark threw out the game script initially and said, you know what, I didn't expect to be down this bad, so all bets are off. We just got to do what we can to get back into the game. I was curious because that's their bread and butter, the most popular run concept from last season. Worked like money versus Oklahoma. And yeah, you didn't see it much at all early on versus Georgia. Maybe it's because they abandoned the running game a little too early in the first half. I'm not sure.
Well, I think you look at it like this. As a defensive player, the game plan that was given to you every single week was to stop what the opponents do best.
That's right.
Stop what they do. If that's our number one running play, then they might let you beat them with something else, but they are not going to let you beat them with your number one running play and your number one pass play. They're going to try to take that away from you. I think that's what Georgia did. I think Georgia took that concept away. And like I said, I'd have to go back and watch the film again with that in mind to see exactly what they were doing. But you take away what your opponent does best, and running game wise and passing game wise, if you can, if you had the dogs to do it. Yeah. And obviously Georgia did, no pun intended, dog. But they did it, and so that's what I would suspect happened. It's dangerous though, Rod, when you get in a game and you feel it slipping away, and you just totally abandon everything you worked on all week. I don't know that's, had it been, whatever, Kentucky or another team, maybe not quite as highly ranked, I don't know that you'd have seen us, kind of hit the panic button like that. But I know we needed to get some points. I know that we needed to, mount some strategic drives and not give up the ball. But at the same time, I just, it might have been perfectly warranted. I don't know, abandoning the game plan. But I do think that you spent so much time working on that game plan. I'm not just going to wad it up and throw it out when we get a couple of touchdowns ahead.
Yep. All right, before we flip to the defensive side of things, before we end our football theory show here, let me thank our good friends over at MyBookie. With all the excitement of this season, make sure you're in the game with MyBookie. Bet any matchup, hundreds of college player props, and take advantage of weekly risk-free bets. The best part is you can do it all anytime, anywhere, straight from your phone. Visit mybookie.ag and use the promo code ONTexas to get started. It's MyBookie's 10-year anniversary, and they're rolling out the red carpet for bettors everywhere. You can bet big and bet confidently with the risk-free Thursdays. If your boosted bet doesn't hit, you'll get your money back weekly. No sweat, win-win bets all season long. And sign up right now. Use the code ONTexas to cash in on a double deposit bonus. It's a no-brainer. Double the cash in your account before you even place your first bet. But don't wait, because right now you only get this special for a limited time only at MyBookie. For those who've been playing with MyBookie for years, they got something for you as well. A brand new loyalty rewards program at MyBookie Plus. It's simple. The more you play, the more you earn. And as you progress through the tiers, you can unlock exclusive promotions, epic giveaways, and cash back in your account. That's MyBookie Plus. Go to mybookie.ag today. And thank you for sponsoring Football Theory here on Texas Football. All right, Coach, jump to the defensive side of the ball. One thing that stands out about this, this Vandy formula to win is it's very specific. And it's been working really well for them so far. They're 5-2. They pulled off the biggest upset win probably in the history of the program. Not probably, definitely the biggest win in the history of the program over Alabama. And then you go look at how the formula breaks down for them. They're 11th in the country in time of possession. They're a top 10 team in third down conversion. They're top 15 in fourth down conversions, 132nd in pace of play. They're second in the country, tied with actually Navy. Only Army is ahead of them in turnovers. They only got 2 on the season. And they're 46th in tackles for loss allowed, so they don't allow a ton of negative plays. They want to keep the football, convert, limit your possessions, and burn as much time off the clock as possible. They're averaging 33 minutes time of possession pretty much. For the Texas defense, it's going to be all about getting this group off the field. How often can you get them off the field? Texas right now has the highest stop rate in the country. That is the rate of times, or at least the frequency that Texas forces offenses to either punt the football, it's a turnover, or a turnover on down. Texas is number 1 defense in the country when it comes to stop rate. That's going to be big in this matchup, Coach. How often can you get Diego Pavia, we'll talk about him in a second too, him and that very unconventional Vandy offense off the field?
Yeah, well, that's a great idea. And I'm very curious to see what PK and these guys are going to do to scheme up to do that, because people haven't been very successful doing that. And I don't know the answer to that, other than you got to play great gap integrity. You've got to move the line of scrimmage, and you've got to stop their quarterback. He's really good at what he does. He's a leader, and you got to be patient defensively. They've done it against the best in the country just about. So they're gonna keep the ball away from you. They're gonna have some success in that area. We've got to be patient and say, okay, new set of downs. This time we're going to stop them. Sometimes you see a team that hadn't turned the ball over much. Sometimes get a little complacent with the ball security. So I wouldn't be afraid to be aggressive with strips and taking the ball away, jumping on routes and things like that. But it's no doubt it's going to be a huge test, a totally different test. That's why it's so hard for me, and probably all of us analysts. It's something we haven't seen, that we don't know a whole lot about. So I'm not exactly sure what the game plan should be. I just don't know. I'll leave it up to the coaches who've studied them all week.
Yeah, no, Diego Pavia, I mean, he's a problem. He loves to improvise. He's great off schedule. I mean, he's a scrappy dude. He's got some grit to him. There's no question about that. And he's great on late downs, Coach. How about this? Pro Football Focus has his grade on 3rd and 4th downs, a 90.2 out of 100. His passing grade is 85.7 on 3rd and 4th down, and his rushing grade is 76 on 3rd and 4th down. That's where they go, where he goes on 3rd and 4th down. And the offense essentially goes through him. I was looking at some film and just looking at some of the personnel groupings and some of the very unorthodox, kind of unconventional concepts that they end up piecemealing together. I've seen them, they run a lot of big personnel, heavy personnel, which means Texas going to match up with base personnel. What Bama screwed up with, Bama tried to match up with them with nickel, and that wasn't working out really well, Coach, because they just bullied Bama in that nickel. They're going to run 12, 13 personnel, 30 personnel out there, 3 running backs, no tight end. So Texas needs to match up in base. I think that's one thing Texas has to do. Also, with Jelani McDonald out there, it's going to be really important because he's basically kind of your third team safety. You got injuries to Derek Williams, got injuries to Makuba. If I am Vanderbilt on the other side, Tim Beck, their offensive coordinator, and Clark Lee, Texas don't have a lot of weaknesses on defense. They just don't. That's why they're the number 1 defense in the land. But if you hear on the scouting report that a third team safety is going to make his first start on the road in SEC play, Coach, don't you have a couple of plays diagrammed up just to try to occupy his eyes, catch him slipping a little bit? I guarantee they're going to do that. So Texas should have a contingency plan. I expect Jelani McDonald to have a great game. If he does not, because coaches need to plan for the worst, I would probably put Jahdae Barron potentially at that safety spot, because you're not going to run a lot of nickel, so you can have Gavin Holmes at corner, Malik Muhammad at corner, Barron at nickel, which he's already been cross-training at, and Taft Daddy at nickel, and that can be your secondary to get your best defenders out there. Just throwing it out is a possibility if something goes wrong there with Jelani McDonald, his first start at safety. Putting that out.
Yeah, that's a great plan. I really like that plan. I think that'd be an effective secondary. And, I don't know if we need, somebody shadowing the quarterback. I'm not sure what, but if you want to take away what they do best, like you said, especially in the third and fourth down, the ball's going to go where he is, and so try to take him away as best you can. I don't know exactly how Texas might choose to do that. They might have a plan A, and typically I think that's probably true. And then you've got a plan B. We hope this one works. This will be easy. If it doesn't work, we're going to have to go to plan B.
Yeah, right.
And you just have to have plans for every potential scenario, because it's crazy. This is an SEC team in Vandy who has an awful lot of confidence right now. They are still in the run for the SEC championship game and the college football playoffs. That sounds crazy to say that. So I don't know what this team is capable of doing. We don't know what this team is capable of doing. We know they're capable of beating Alabama, who like you said, beat Georgia, who beat us. So I would like to think the last thing that's going to happen Saturday is we go in there thinking we're playing Vandy. Man, we're going, yeah, that's the last. And I'm sure after getting beat last Saturday, you hate to say it's the best thing that could happen to you, because no, the best thing that could happen to you is win a national championship. That's the best
but
thing. in terms of our future, we've been exposed in some areas, and again, we hadn't played talent like Georgia all year. But don't go to sleep on Vandy. They beat Alabama for a reason. They have great coaches and they have good enough players.
Damn right about that. And I expect to see some of the concepts Texas has used this season when it comes to run-heavy teams. Even Oklahoma, right? They had the double spies there. Sometimes Colin Simmons, sometimes Anthony Hill, sometimes Leon Lafau. I expect to see that in this game. Remember the bear front they used versus Michigan? Remember the 3D tackle package they used versus Michigan when they were in base? I expect to see that. They ran the penny front, which is probably 5 across the line of scrimmage, 3 down, 2 overhangs, and a middle linebacker. I expect to see that potentially versus Vandy. Vandy's going to give you a lot of different looks, and I think you also have to be malleable to be able to give them a lot of different counters on the other side of that too. So I think for Texas, that's going to be part of the challenge. All right, Coach, thanks for all the knowledge as always. I leave here a smarter football theorist because of your wisdom. Thanks to our friends over at MyBookie as well. MyBookie.ag and check out MyBookie Plus there as well. Thank you to Matthew behind the scenes for always being a real MVP, making sure that we get on the air and everything runs smooth. Thank you to all you guys out there for watching and for listening. And hopefully next week we're talking about a win for the Texas Longhorns. Until next time, hook 'em horns.